Hey y'all, what's up? I'm back. I had to come right back with another video because I just finished watching the CPAC conference where Donald Trump just spoke, and that shit was a train wreck. That shit was like watching a sitcom. Um, I'm going to touch on a few points that I did hear Donald Trump go over, and I'm going to touch on some things that he didn't go over that I think he should have went over. The first thing I want to get to is the arming of the teachers. He did speak on arming the teachers, and he said he definitely does feel like teachers should be armed in the schools. Now, he's not just speaking of just every teacher, but he said there are, I think he said, 20% of teachers here in the U.S. that are old police officers, military, and trained to kill pretty much. So he definitely does feel like teachers should be armed to some degree. I totally still disagree with him. Then what happens when that don't work? We're gonna start arming students. Shit just not gonna work right. So arming teachers, I still feel like is a bad idea, but the president feel like it's something that should be done. So whatever. Earlier I said I haven't heard anything about DACA, where he did bring up DACA, and he accused the Democrats of abandoning DACA. And throughout the whole time, he just kept calling the Democrats those people. So that was a little funny to me. But he did bring up DACA. He talked about it. He said he's willing to do the DACA act or whatever, but Democrats, they're asking for too much and they can't meet in the middle. So that's pretty much all he said about DACA, was just that the Democrats have abandoned it. They haven't talked to him about it, and he felt as though it was just for attention, and that they're not getting what they want, so they can't meet in the middle. What else did he go over? He went over the deficits. Like, we're in a trade deficit with Mexico of, I think he said, $500 million or $billion. That might not have been Mexico. That might have been China. I think he said we're in a trade deficit with China for like 500 million or billion, and we're also in a trade deficit with Mexico. So if he can clean that shit up, and I'm all with it. Hey, I'm not mad at him. He talked about background checks for the guns, of the age limit going from 18 to 21, and he also said mental health as far as the background check for guns. Now, he said he doesn't want anyone suffering from mental health carrying a gun. Well, number 45, what's your definition of mental health? Because mental health is the slippery slope, and it comes in all forms. You got bipolar, you got depression, you got anxiety. I mean, you got all types of forms of mental health and mental illness. So it'd be better if you could break that down for us, and itemize your definition of mental illness. He accused Democrats of wanting to take away the Second Amendment rights from United States citizens. I don't think Democrats would want to do that. I think they're just trying to put some regulations on the Second Amendment, or stipulations to just make it safer. Right now, it's just like everybody can have a gun if you want a gun to protect yourself. And I'm sure some loopholes to it, and I'm sure it's more to the Second Amendment than just that. But I don't think Democrats are trying to snatch away everybody's Second Amendment right, and I don't think that's their plan. I think Donald Trump's trying to just rally the troops at this point, because it's almost midterm election time, or mid-elections, or whatever they call that shit. I'm just learning about all this. So, like I said, he talked about the arming of teachers. He does agree with that. He also talked about MS-13, and he villainized the fuck out of MS-13. He even brought up one scenario of a guy running down the passerbyers and pedestrians in Manhattan down the street, and he made chain migration sound bad. He made MS-13 sound just terrible. He got it out for MS-13. That's just all I gotta say. He wants y'all motherfuckers gone. And after y'all come us. After he get rid of the Spanish people, he gonna try his best to get rid of the black people. He gonna start saying the Bloods and the Crips, they're the most violent gang, and this and that and that and this. So we already know where that's going. He talked about the wall. He said that we are getting the wall, or the wall will be built. And every time somebody talks shit about that wall, he gonna build it 10 feet higher. So y'all better shut the fuck up about that wall. Um, he just made everything sound so jovial. He kept referring to all of the reporters and the journalists, and he even called out CNN by name as fake news. I swear I heard him say fake news about 50 times. So he got it out for the media also. He brought up Nancy Pelosi too and made her out to be his enemy. And when all that lady want to do is get this shit right, but he called her out by name. So Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump, 5 shots at your ass. Now it's time for you to come back and say what you gotta say. I'd appreciate it if you did it on the Van Jones show. He talked about the NRA. He said those are good people. He actually called them great people. Said they're his friends. They did donate $30 million to his campaign when he was running. So he will definitely not be bad mouth. You never bite the hand that fed your motherfucking ass. So if you looking for Donald Trump to talk against the NRA, that's not going to happen. So let that shit go. It was a heckler there in the beginning, and they got him up out of there. He just kept making sure he let y'all know it was only one heckler, even though I seen him dragging or taking 5-6 motherfuckers out of there. He wanted y'all to know it was only one, but we know that's not true. It was way more than one heckler. He talked about bringing business back to the United States. I agree with that. Like the car manufacturers, bringing them from Mexico to Ohio and Wyoming and Idaho and all the Midwest states or whatever those states are. He talked about bringing business back there. Shit, if it can help black people get jobs too, I'm with the shit, Donald. He talked about the unemployment rate, which kind of fucked me up. He started off with the African American unemployment rate. Then he went to the Spanish people unemployment rate. Then he went to the women's unemployment rate. What the fuck is white people's unemployment rate? What's the unemployment rate for white men and white women and all of them motherfuckers as a whole? I know it's a lot of them running around here in trailer parks with no motherfucking jobs too, living off government assistance. So he he a weird motherfucker, but some of that shit I agree with, some of that shit I don't. A couple of the things that I did not hear the president talk about that kind of bothered me. I didn't hear him say nothing about the Russia probe. He didn't say not one thing about Russia sanctions, Vladimir Putin. He didn't bring up Russia not one goddamn time. And that bothered me. I also didn't hear this man say anything about White House security clearances, about Jared Kushner, about whoever in there don't have a clearance, and what the plan is to take care of those situations. I didn't hear him talk about the guy with the wife beating allegations and how he claimed that man was innocent. How General Kelly claimed that man was innocent. I didn't hear him say none of that. The General Kelly, that's still his homeboy. Like, I didn't hear him talk about none of that stuff. He didn't bring up Robert Mueller, but that's probably best for him, that he don't say too much, because when he starts opening his mouth, you never know what's coming out of that motherfucker. He also didn't define mental health, which I said earlier. He didn't talk about any of these guys with these infidelity issues in his camp or anything that's going on with these men. He didn't talk about the gun age limit as much as I wanted him to. He didn't really talk about like what's the reform for this whole gun battle they got going on because of these mass shootings. I also wanted him to talk about Paul Manafort. Even if he didn't talk about Rick Gates, I wanted him to say something about Paul Manafort or, show his support to his friends. He didn't do that at all either. So the man is clearly delusional. He kept throwing out all these ratings and numbers. Oh, we're the lowest in history. In 45 years, we got the lowest this. In 18 years, we got the lowest this. I don't think he knows what he's talking about at all. Then he also did some poem at the end called The Snake. And he referred it to immigration, which was actually being referred to Spanish people in MS-13. I don't want y'all to get that shit fucked up. He was talking about Spanish people. and it was about how the lady saw the snake. She was beautiful, and the snake was beautiful or whatever. And she picked the snake up. The snake was motherfucking frozen. He had colorfuls and stuff. He was beautiful. She picked him up, took him home, unthawed the snake out. The motherfucking snake bit her, and that's what he trying to say that we doing with immigration, that we letting people in because we think they this, and then they biting our ass and they fucking us up, and that's what we get. So he just really made the Spanish people in that out to be bad people and scary people and snakes that's gonna bite us Americans or white America in the ass if we keep letting them come in. So I just wanted to come on here, give y'all my thoughts on the CPAC conference and Donald Trump's. It seemed like a speech, like a campaign speech almost, but the shit was weird. The shit was wild. Um, he touched